Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Well, here in the Mid Atlantic area, we are feeling the effects of Hurricane Erin. She's still a few hundred miles off the coast, but here we're getting the rain, we're getting the wind, and all the way up and down the East Coast from Florida, Maine. There's advisories to avoid the beach, to do not get in the water. It's considered life-threatening conditions. Do not get in the water. The perfect wave is not worth it. And North Carolina actually has declared a state of emergency. The Outer Banks have really been pounded by this storm. She's still a few hundred miles away off the coast. So hopefully by this weekend, Erin will be out in the mid-Atlantic. We will not be feeling anything left over from her. So bye, girl. We need for you to move on. And this is just the beginning of hurricane season, and it's been hot. So this might be a very unpredictable season. So let's just be prepared here on the East Coast. It's could be a bumpy one this year. Now, let's move our way over into the world of politics. It's still a mess in Texas. The fight for redistricting still goes on. Now it's in California. The Democrats are going to fight back and say that they're going to do what? Well, what the Republicans want to do in Texas. So the fight continues, and Texas has been in the news for the last several weeks over this battle, and it still goes on. Well, since we were last together, Trump met with Putin in Alaska for the Alaska Summit. They met together for a little under 3 hours, and well, with the press conference, we were hoping to hear something of what did they discuss? Did the needle get moved in any direction on a few major topics? No, we don't know. And there was one journalist, and I think please pardon me if I am incorrect. I think she was with Fox. And this clip, I was watching it live when it happened. And this clip was actually on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He had this girl in this clip. She expressed herself perfectly in this moment when she was talking to the news team back in the studio, and she was kind of reporting what was going on in this conference following this Alaska Summit. And she said, well, here all the journalists are in the press room waiting to get questions and get some answers on what did they discuss, what happened in this summit. And she said, we were waiting for a long period of time. Putin and Trump walk in. Putin basically got to his talking points out, then did his photo op, and then rolled right on out and got on his plane and left. And we, as journalists, were just in the room feeling with a sense of confusion, like what's going on? And we still don't know. As a viewer, I was waiting. I wanted to, even a few basic questions. We really have no idea. So I don't think that was the outcome that anybody wanted in the administration here. But so there's that. Then Trump this past week met with leaders from Europe, from the countries like Finland and Germany and England, Italy, France. And they met with Trump and Zelensky. Everybody was at the table, and they said, look, if we're going to have peace talks, these are some of the hard-lining points that must be included in the negotiations, in this conversation. These are the absolutes. And let's see where it goes. European leaders must be at the table. This war is in their backyard, so it is essential for them to be there, and hopefully we are there to support them and back them up, because, again, democracy is at stake. And Washington Post says it best. democracy dies in darkness. So let's not forget that. This war has gone on way, way too long. And there has been an uptick in drones and missile attacks since that meeting with Trump. So something has to be done, and soon. So let's just hope that this conversations with the European leaders this past week will start to move in the right direction. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And speaking of backyard in Europe, let's work our way over to Poland. Yesterday in eastern Poland, in a village named, I hope I say correctly, Ozny, there was reports of a UFO crash and explosion. And it has been confirmed by the authorities there. Now there's an investigation going on, and could it be a drone? Could it be some military unknown technology? Sure, it's possible. They are bordered right in the heart of conflict. So yeah, it could absolutely be something military that went off track and landed there. Absolutely. There is an investigation ongoing, but as of now, police have confirmed that it is an unidentified flying object that crashed and exploded. So there you go. And I will keep my eyes open in the news and international news to see if we get reports on what it actually ended up being. Again, it's definitely possible it's military. There's a lot going on over there. But interesting. You don't hear that too often. Now, let's work our way over into the world of television. If you watch Netflix, there has been a documentary that just dropped last week, and it is called Fit for TV. And it is about the show that was on for a very long period of time, from like the early 2000s to the mid 2000s, called The Biggest Loser. And that was a major weight loss show and full body transformation for a lot of these contestants in a short period of time. The two main trainers that were on the show for a period of time, I don't believe for the entire length, there were some other trainers along the way, but for quite a while, were Bob Harper and Jillian Michael. Well, on this documentary, Fit for TV, they're interviewing the producers, and Bob Harper's on there. They're former contestants, people behind the scene. There was a doctor who worked for the show, and they were talking about what happened during the making of the show, behind the scenes, what went on with the contestants. They gave all different perspectives of what went on with the show. I did not watch the show back in the day. I would see a minute here, a minute there, flipping through TV, but I had a hard time watching the contestants struggle, some of the challenges and obstacles they put people through that I didn't feel were ready for it. It was a dangerous element to me, too strenuous in some situations. Some were fine, just some too soon, it just was too dangerous in my opinion. I just would kind of cringe and look away at the time. I didn't like the temptation challenges to it. I didn't like the trainers screaming at the people. I thought it was humiliating to the contestants. I mean, they're there to better themselves. I did not like that. So I struggled then watching the show. A lot of people liked it, and there were some success stories. Some, I don't know how many. There were a few that were on the show and they went back to their old habits and they talked about it in a kind of a fast and furious experience. They lost the weight in a short period of time, but it just didn't take. And there's that side of it. But this documentary really was not complimentary to Jillian Michaels. And she was not in this documentary. And she has come out now that this documentary has been released and people are talking about it. And it was not complimentary to her at all. And she has come out and and I watched this on TMZ Live the other day when they kind of broke this story. And, they have an afternoon show where they're kind of breaking live stories, and you're in the heart of the newsroom, and you've got the kind of the feel of the pulse that while it's happening. And Jillian Michael had talked to Harvey Levin that day and was giving her opinion. She was like, I did not partake in this. I knew it wasn't going to be kind to me. I felt it was kind of a hit piece. So why would I kind of be a part of this? And some of the people behind the show and the making of the show said some allegations against me, and I have the emails and the proof from that time to back me up. And this is what I have. And she was basically email dumping to the TMZ newsroom, and they were getting it, and they were trying to read it as it was happening. But Harvey had talked to her earlier in the day, and she was giving her side of the story, and she was saying, look, this is so bad. I think I might actually have to pursue legal action because this is so defamatory, and this is my business, my lifestyle, my livelihood, and this is pretty harsh and negative, and I this is my name. So, whoa, who knew this many years later that this would come up? I mean, she's been a successful business person. I did not realize that there was bad blood between her and Bob Harper. You would think that people have been on the show for so long and had to work together, you would hope that they would have a decent relationship. I mean, these things happen all the time, though, when you're together for a long period of time and you disagree, there's a falling out. It happens. But you would hope that being in the same industry, but I guess not. And I really like Bob Harper. Again, I did not watch The Biggest Loser, but I saw him on The Traitors. I love that show. I did like him on The Traitors. Everybody liked Bob Harper on The Traitors. I liked him when he was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, little caddy. Love that even more. So I am a Bob fan. But yeah, I was shocked when I only watched the first episode. I have to go back and watch the other episodes. There's only a few, but I have to go back and watch the other one. I still have a hard time watching the clips from the show. I was like, I can't believe it was on that long, but it was. And wow, poor Jillian. I don't know what happens. I don't know if I should be saying poor Jillian. I don't know what happens, but it definitely seems like a big gang up on one person, and that never really seems fair. We talk about this all the time when it comes to the housewives, that full mob mentality when everybody goes after one. It's uncomfortable. I don't like to watch that. So, and from one Jillian to another, I don't like it. I don't like it. And it was, I do want to say it was also not only a challenge and a game for the contestants, it was also for the trainers on that show as well. So it's a competition for them. There were some controversies along the way, along with the show, but who knew? And I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about this story. But Jillian, Bob, it's unfortunate, but I don't know. I felt bad for the contestants in this documentary when they were talking about it. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like a horrific experience, and how they talk about they were starved and they were working themselves, and that was their opinion and their experience from the show. But I mean, you really got quite a wide array of people that were involved with the show from different sides, but everybody still seems to love Bob. But how can you not? I love Bob. I mean, Bob didn't hold his opinion back on Andy Cohen show either. So I kind of like that. But yeah, it's Fit for TV on Netflix and on FX. If you are a sci-fi fan and if you like the Alien series that go back to our queen, Sigourney Weaver. Not only is she just the sci-fi queen, she is the voice over queen. I mean, she's in everything. Remember Planet Earth? She narrated that. She's a lot of the voices in the Disney Pixar movies. She's everything, but she is our queen of Alien, and FX has a new series. It is Alien Earth, and it jumps off from there. I watched a little bit of the first episode. Sometimes sci-fi can be a bit of a challenge for me, but I was into the story right away. If you like Alien, I think you'll probably like this series. So go over to FX, watch Alien Earth. It's definitely cool effects. And, with everything that's going on with AI, who knows, right? So FX, Alien Earth. Now, we have to get in to our world of Bravo because a lot's been happening and a lot's coming in. Now, where we left off with the Housewives of Miami, they were on their trip to Spain in Seville, or as Alexia says, Sevilla. Beautiful, beautiful area. It looks like it's a great trip, great food, but with everything that always happens on a girls' trip on the Housewives, usually everything goes wrong. Okay, we already had a fight at dinner. Remember, Kiki said this is one of the best dinners I've ever had in my fight, where Alexia and Stephanie had a pissing contest on who's the biggest and baddest. It's kind of on the show, because Alexia's a star. She's a star, as she always says, and maybe she is. She's been on there since day one and still holding on strong. So maybe she is. She's a star, guys. She's a star. And her and Stephanie got into it. But in the love of Spain and in the feel of it all, they came together and they made up. You had Gurney and Julia. They made up on this trip. They were feeling the love in Spain. It must be the wine and the incredible food. But Larsa and Lisa still having issues. Like, they will just not let it go. Lisa, I feel like, is oblivious to most things happening right now if it's not in her bubble. Like, she is just kind of out of it, and how she just missed the trip. I agree with the girls. She shouldn't let them know that she missed her flight. I'm sure production was pissed about that, but she made it. She made it. But why is Jody texting Larsa? I'm going to say, in this whole situation where Larsa has this meltdown that Jody's texting her, I think I get it a little bit, right? She's like, look, Jody's not, after Lisa and Larsa had this whole fight thing, and maybe we're just not friends anymore. Maybe I don't want to be friends with you. We had the argument in the streets of Seville with the ice cream. And then Jody starts texting, Lisa's boyfriend Jody starts texting Larsa. And Larsa says, he's not texting me anything mean or malicious. It's just like really long text messages that make me feel a little uncomfortable about it. Like, you shouldn't be texting me. You're a guy. Like, I feel like maybe I'm kind of old school about it. I was slightly more traditional. I think you should be texting my dad or my husband or my brother, another guy figure. But I don't think you should be texting me directly. Like, I feel like that's a little bit of crossing boundaries. And I gotta say, Larsa, I think I might be with you on this one. And she gets really uncomfortable. And with the end of the episode, when she was showing the other girls, she was like, Jody's texting me. I just want to get out of it. It's weird. You see the women's expression, like that's really long. Like, what? Yeah, like, and I think they kind of side with it too. Like, it's weird. But I want to get to Julia this season, and especially this past episode, because you got busted a little bit this past week in Julia. Julia's been trying to play both sides of the fence. I didn't like, and I do not like, how she has just dropped Adriana and just kicked her to the side and kind of wants nothing to do with her. I don't like that. And how she's really needy and kind of gross, kind of clingy way to bump up herself on this show. Like, she's really trying to status climb this season. And I don't like it. Why do you need to? You're with Martina Navratilova. She is one of the best athletes of all time. You're already at the top. So I don't understand like this whole social climb. I don't with Alexia and with Marisol, right? And poor Marisol's just trying to like make everybody happy and just enjoy the trip, and she's with Alexia. And you know, this whole scene with Julia, you know, let's not forget this past week's episode. Some of the girls flew private jet on Stephanie's. Let's see, we had Julia, Larsa, Adriana, and Stephanie on the private jet. And then all the other girls flew commercial. Well, when the girls who flew commercial finally meet up with the crew that flew private, that arrived several hours earlier, Julia goes right up to Alexia, goes, "Get ready. We were talking about you." Not like, "Hey girls, like we were just talking about you." Not like that. Not with that. No, just "Get ready. We were talking about you." And of course, Alexi was like, "Okay, we're on." But of course she was like, "I don't care if you're talking about me," but she did. I didn't like it. And the fact that she did that right in front of Adriana, Stephanie, and Larsa. They're all watching her now. So there's that. There's that. And I like how Stephanie, the new girl, is trying to put like a little bit of a rift, like a divide between Marisol and Alexis. Like, she really is team Marisol, and she's trying to pull Marisol a little bit away from Alexis. So I'm enjoying this trip to Seville. Poor Marisol is trying to keep it together. Julia, who also helped plan this trip, I think she said tried to help plan it, is not making it easy for anyone. But, you know, but it's been a great watch so far. But they gave us 2 episodes last week. Now we're trying to prepare because The Real Housewives of Miami is now moving from Wednesday to Thursday nights. Bravo's trying to get ready for a new schedule lineup. We have the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They're getting ready to air a new season. The Vanderpump Rules reboot, that should be coming down the pike. And then shortly we're going to have the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So there is a new cycle of shows coming into Bravo. But we also want to check in with the Real Housewives of Orange County. The last week in the Real Housewives of Orange County, I'm having a hard time with Orange County, but I was in to this last episode. And good for you, Gina. Good for all the girls. Tamra's time has come. Tamra is out. This past episode, she showed her ass. She was a hot mess. Toxic Tamra really exposed her evil side this past week, and a little bit kind of her sloshy side too. And Gina called it out better than anybody. So they're on a cast trip as well. In Orange County, they're on a cast trip to New Orleans. It looks like it's been a fun. I got to give it to Heather. She's been going with the flow a little bit this season. I like that she's trying to be slightly more down to earth. She's still Miss Priss. She's getting really into it, but everything always goes down at the dinners, right? Everything always goes down. Well, last week, Tamra is still trying to stir the shit. She's still trying to get Shannon to fight with Katie. She's trying to get Gretchen to fight with Katie. She's still fighting with Jen. At the center of all this toxicity, in a nutshell, is Tamra. I don't know if she's trying to make herself relevant, trying to keep her position on the show. She's doing a terrible job. And as a seasoned veteran, Tamra, as a cast member of the show, very disappointed. This is not amateur hour, Tamra. You showed up with nothing this season, but just a bad attitude and some, I don't know what's happening with you this past episode. And I'm going to say it again. Gina called it out. And good for you, Gina. Thank you. So happy you're finding your voice. So they were at a dinner. And everything's happening. She's trying to Tamra's trying to fan the flames of fighting, right? Between Katie, Shannon, Katie, Gretchen. Who said what? Who knew what when? Who's talking to bloggers? Well, everybody's just trying to go on, but Tamra, she's just circling the drain on, you talked to so-and-so and you said this. Well, the only one who cares, Tamra, is you. And I cannot stand you this season. And the very few times they flashed on Eddie this season, he just looks exhausted, doesn't he? He's just like, just don't do too much. Don't drink too much. Just don't say anything you're going to regret. Well, that is Tamra. So they're at this dinner and Tam going kind of off the rails. And Jen, who has been obsessed with these fatty photos that Tamra was circulating early in the season, is just pissed. And she's going like, what's going on with you, Tamra? Like, what's going on? Like, what is your deal with me? What is your deal with me? What's your deal with Katie? You're trying to pick up Tamra. Like, what's your problem? And Tamra, who, look, I'm just going out on a limb and I'm saying that I allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, think that she was mixing some substances. I thought maybe she took a pill and was drinking some alcohol. That's my take. I said straight out when I was watching, I'm like, did she take a Xanax? And is she drinking a martini? Because that's never going to work. That is, whoa, that is quite a combination. It's a downward spiral right there. And even when she starts talking, she's, Jen's like, what's the problem? What's your problem with me, Tamra? Like, again. And Tamra's like, I don't know. What's the problem? What's the problem? And Gina's like, who's on first? What's happening here? And everybody at the table, even Shannon, by the way, who doesn't want to say anything because she's been called out for all of her stuff in the past, her habits and her DUI. She's just sitting there like eating her food, like, I'm not saying a word, just kind of taking it all in. And Jen says, to be totally transparent, Tamra, are you on something? Did you take a Xanax or something? Because you're off. And everybody, when Jen said that, just looks at the table like, oh, she said it. And Tamra went off. She's like, you're being rude. And Gina looks over and she's like, actually, Tamra, you're being rude. Like, she just snapped. She's like, you're being rude and we're all over it. And Tamra's like, no, you're being rude. She's like, no, you're fucking being rude, Tamra. And I was like, yes, this is what we're waiting for. And I hope you just secured your spot next season over. And she was like, you're actually being rude, Tamra. This is my trip. This is my dinner. And you're ruining it for everyone. And even Heather Dubrow said, for all of us. And you even see Tamra react when Heather, who has been ride or die, Team Tamra, this whole season, no matter how absolutely deplorable her actions and statements have been this season, Heather's kind of, brushed it off as okay and dismissed it. And in this moment, she was like, yeah, for all of this is bad. And when Heather said it, you could see Tamra's reaction like, oh no, like that was the real dagger. And you just see her like sitting in it because everybody else is like, what's going on? Like, we're all at the table confused right now. Tamra gets up from the table, just like zombie style. Like, she was not feeling her body in this moment. I don't think she just like gets up from the table and walks out to the elevator. And you see someone from production go over to Tamra, who's waiting at the elevator, and just out of it. They're like, are you okay? Like, are you all right? Like, do you need some help? And she's like, I just want to go home. She's been busted and she knows that she was just made a fool. And she is embarrassed and she's running off full Bali style. Do we not forget the Bali many years ago when she ran off barefoot through the hotel? And I like when this is happening, all the girls are like, what is going on? And even Gina's like, I think she took a Xanax and had a cocktail. That's what that is. And they pan over to Shannon, who's just still eating and not saying a word. And then Shannon's like, well, in her little confessional, she said, Tamara came to my room earlier and she was drinking something that she said was water and it didn't look like water to me. So Shannon is ready to take advantage of this moment because Tamara has been going after Shannon hard for years after the drinking. And now it's Shannon's moment to be like, what? I can't believe this. But I also want to say, is this the moment, Heather Dubrow, when you go after Tamara the same way and as hard as you did Shannon many, many years ago? Was it Shannon's first season when she was like having a meltdown when there was rumors of an affair with her husband and her marriage was falling apart and she was having like a full meltdown and Heather Dubrow's like, do you need help? We should call an ambulance. Was anybody doing that in that moment when Tamara was having an epic meltdown and clearly on something? No, Heather was soft, like, I don't know, something's very different with you. Like, she was very calm. It was interesting to see the two different reactions. As somebody who likes history, I'm just going to recall that moment in history, Heather. But I'm glad, Heather, you said something because it's kind of inexcusable, her actions. And then at the end of the show, you just see sloshy Tamara just sitting at like the other section of the restaurant overproduction. Like, do I need to call an Uber or someone to get me a ride? Anyone? And in my head, I'm thinking production's probably like, okay, you're going to sit there and we're going to get this. Okay. Because we're still filming. And don't talk to us that way. And yeah, you might have to figure this one out. This is what I'm thinking in my head. And then a second later, they pan to the girl sitting at the table. And Gina, she was like, what? Heather's like, what was all that all about? And she's like, I don't know. Tamara's pissed I called her sloshy. And then everybody's phone's like, ding, 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 ding. The notifications are going off. And Gina looks down. She's like, oh my God, like Tamara's rage texting me right now. And she told me to, fuck off. And Heather's like, why would she tell you to do that? She's like, because I said she was sloshed. I don't know. And she was acting foolish. And then she posted, I guess, to social media and told everyone that she quit the show. Now, it was reported a while back that during this trip to New Orleans, that she quit the show. And now we see why. We see what happened. Another crazy toxic Tamara exit. I hope this time for good. Please don't bring her back. I don't understand why you brought her back the first time, why you brought her back and not my Vicky, the OG of the OC. Still perplexed on that one, but she's gone. So bye, Tamara. Bye, girl. Gone, girl. Bye. It was not nice to see you again. I am over it and we are over you. Bye, Tamara. But I love that everybody at the table was turning on Tamara. It needed to happen. And, the three women that have been on the show for a while, Heather, Shannon, and Tamara, they do try and stick together in a clique. Other than Shannon has always been on the outs with Heather. That's never going to happen. They have moments where they come back together, but remember that if you ever come after my family. So, there's a history with Heather and Shannon. And we just talked about the do you need an ambulance? Do you need help? We are just naming a few. So the fact that they're all going together and going after Tamara, like, yeah, you've gone too far this time. It's nice. And all the new girls have been after Tamara because Tamara's done this shit to them as well. They're over it, how they've come together. And even Katie's like, yeah, they don't even care about the shit I've done now. They're all after Tamara because she is the one that's stirring all this shit. And everybody on the show talks to bloggers and his own podcast. So we're all in the same shit together. So, OC, pretty good episode this past week. Gina, good on you. Bravo, ready for the new series. And we'll be watching to see what happens in Seville with Miami. But that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us on Polywind. Please follow us on Instagram at PolyWineTime. And please listen to Polywind wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.